There are people who don't want an EV, who aren't yet ready for that move. They have different reasons for not wanting one, many and various. Sometimes, however, people are concerned that planning a trip with an EV is going to be complex, that it's going to be too hard to do those longer journeys. Well, I have a trip coming up, so why don't we do that planning together to see how hard it is? Then you'll have seen the process in action and can decide whether it really is too hard or whether those fears are unfounded. Hello everyone, I'm Andrew. Thanks for joining me on the electric transition. As I mentioned in the intro, I have a trip in a couple of weeks that will exceed the range of my car and therefore what distance I can do from home charging alone. This trip is a bit longer than I do on a regular basis. It's fairly common for me to do trips that exceed my range, but they are usually on routes I know, and usually I need just a little top up as part of the journey. My Renault ZOE has a 52 kilowatt-hour battery and an average range of just about 200 miles, about 160 to 165 miles in the depths of winter, and up to about 230 miles in the warmest of summer days. That's all at motorway speeds. I always want a bit of buffer in my remaining range. 20 to 30 miles usually feels very comfortable for me. That leaves a bit extra in case of diversions or hold-ups and avoids ever hitting limited performance. That desire to have a buffer means I have a bit less range in reality, from about 135 to 140 miles in the winter to 200 miles in the best weather, without needing to stop at all. This journey takes me close to that limit each way. You see, I'm off to Everything Electric in Harrogate on the 8th and 9th of May, just to see what newness there is and to see who I meet while there. If you are going too, then drop me a message in the comments. Maybe I'll see you there. It would be great to say hello. For me, Harrogate is pretty much 200 miles each way, and I expect there will be a few miles extra running about at the far end, perhaps popping out to get food in the evening, so I need to bear that in mind too. Right, so we need to plan that trip. The start, which I've already done, is to have an idea of how far it is. That helps with the thinking process. I tend to use Google Maps for that. It gives me an idea of how far it is, how long it will usually take, and I'm also interested in approximately what route it suggests I might use. As I say, it's about 200 miles this time around. That's right at the limit of the car's range. In May, the weather will probably be warm, and so I might make it without a charge. However, what I really mean is that the car might make it. I definitely won't be driving that in one go. That's 4 hours of driving at least, and I'm going to want to stop to stretch my legs en route. I did do just under 100 miles without a stop a couple of weeks ago. That was late at night as the motorways were being closed for maintenance, and getting home as soon as possible seemed prudent. I managed that without too much pain, which was an improvement, but getting out of the car at the end was tricky. Therefore, I think it's best I plan to take it easier than that on the way to Harrogate. After all, I want to be fit for the show the next day. As a result, I'll probably want to stop a couple of times, for me rather than for the car. Since I'm going to stop a few times anyway, I might as well plug the car in on one of those stops for a little while, just to grab a few extra miles. So all we need to do now is work out where I might do that. One of these little health niggles has stopped me working for quite a while now, so there's an additional bit to my thought process this time around, and that's how to keep the cost to a minimum. Don't get me wrong, I always consider the cost of public charging, but at the moment, keeping things reasonably priced gets additional weighting in the decision-making process. My usual go-to at the moment is the Tesla supercharger network, as they are more reasonably priced than most, as well as being fairly prolific. Other options include Arnold Clark charge. They are just 55 pence per kilowatt hour, but I think they tend to be in cities rather than on the strategic road network. Sure enough, if we look at their map, we can see that the sites in Nottingham, Chesterfield and Doncaster are a bit out of my way up the M1 and A1M, so I don't think they help this time round. Ionity are also an option. Let's have a look at their current pricing. Okay, they've gone up a bit, and to get the best prices you need to pay the subscription. £10.50 for a month to unlock the 46 pence per kilowatt hour rate. Well, thinking about it, Tesla do a monthly membership as well. If I'm going to go that route, then we should consider their membership pricing. Normally I just use Tesla's pay-as-you-go pricing because, as I said earlier, I'm usually only needing a small top-up on a trip, and monthly membership isn't worth it for that. But this time around it might be. The only complication with Tesla supercharger pricing is that it varies a bit by location, so we need a site from which to get pricing and then make the decision based on that. Okay, where would be convenient to stop with them? Well, I reckon I want to stop somewhere about 2/3 of the way along the route, or maybe a bit more. That's to do with the charging speed I will get. My Renault ZOE is one of the slowest charging cars on the market, or formerly on the market anyway, since it's no longer made. But the point is that to get really decent charging speed, I should stop with less than 50% battery remaining. That way it charges a bit faster, and I know I won't need to wait for it. The car will be ready before I will. Eyeballing it on Google Maps, that suggests I should stop somewhere around Sheffield or just before it, something like that anyway. Looking on the Tesla map, filtered for superchargers open to the public like me, we can see that there's nothing at Sheffield, but there is just before it. Indeed, there are two near Mansfield. One of those would do. The site called Mansfield has 12 superchargers, that's pretty good, and it's on a retail park, so there's likely to be somewhere to get a drink, which I'll definitely be in need of. It's 59 pence per kilowatt hour for public access during the day, which is when I'm going, by the way, and 41 pence per kilowatt hour for members, 18 pence per kilowatt hour cheaper. Okay, so that's all pretty reasonable, so that's the plan then. I'll stop when I need to the first time or two, and then head for Mansfield for a bit of charge during one of the breaks. The final thing to decide is whether to pay for that membership. It's £9.99 for that membership, which you can only see in the app, by the way, and it gets me 18 pence per kilowatt hour saving. Divide £9.99 by 18 pence, and we can see that it's only worth it if I put more than 55 kilowatt hours of energy in. Well, I won't be doing that on the way up. I only need a bit, but I might in the trip overall. After all, there is the return journey to consider too. I need to come back from Harrogate just a few days later, and I'll be doing so without having charged at home in the meantime. In total, I guess I'm going to need a full charge for the return journey, plus a bit, maybe a quarter or so in each direction for comfort. That would mean a battery and a half in total for the trip, about 75 kilowatt hours all in. That's more than the 55 kilowatt hour break-even point for a month's membership, so it looks like it's worth it this time around. In fact, I've got a couple of other trips planned for May, not as far as this one, but each likely to need a few kilowatt hours to make them comfortable, so I should save more from this month's membership than I would for just this trip. Okay, so there we go, that's our trip planned. Now you might be thinking it's taken quite a long time to do that planning. This has confirmed for you that it's hard to do. To which I'd say, kinda. You see, this isn't how I would actually plan this trip. What I've done here is talk you through the whole process from start to finish and done it all manually. That's not what I usually do. I already know that Tesla supercharging is likely to be my cheapest option, so I don't really need to consider anything else on a day-to-day basis. Instead, what I do is use a better route planner, which is available as an app and on the web. Both would plan this journey in a few seconds. I'm showing a few shots of using the website as that looks better in a video, but the fastest is in fact the app, and that's because in the app I set my preferences only once up front. In the app I've already set what type of car I have and what my preferred networks are, so I only need to set my start and destination, and a better route planner does all of the rest. Here's the plan that a better route planner created for me. It's almost exactly the same as the one I created manually, except it chose to stop at the other Tesla supercharger we saw on the Tesla map, the one a little further south. That one would probably be perfectly fine as well, and so I'll bear that in mind for the journey. If I want to stop a little earlier, then I can at this other location. That's my way of planning, but in fact it can be even easier than that. Most EVs offer some form of route planning in the infotainment system if you choose to use that. My ZOE can do that, for example. However, in my opinion, the ability to filter charging sites is a bit meh in the ZOE. I can't really do much by way of showing my charging preferences. What's more, its list of chargers is probably now quite out of date. However, in other cars, the built-in route planning might be quite good. If you have an EV, then you can give that a go instead and use a better route planner only if you find the car isn't giving you the options you want. Tesla showed the rest of the manufacturers how this should work many years ago. They have had this built-in planning available for years, and it's been top-notch. The need for this level of automation in the car seemed to pass other manufacturers by for a long time. They didn't seem to understand that this was important, or maybe they simply couldn't make it work. But each new generation of infotainment by each manufacturer makes it better, and hopefully they are all getting on board now. If not now, then hopefully they will soon. The differences really come down to preferences. Most cars can get you to a charger, but many take you to a very expensive one, or ones that aren't nice places to visit. Those are the bits that need to improve. Because this isn't rocket science, you shouldn't need to do it manually at all if you don't want to. The car should simply be doing it for you, just as Teslas have for so long. In the meantime, this remains a bit of a differentiator between manufacturers. If you have a choice, then try to get a car that does it for you. If not, then get one of the apps to do it instead. By the way, a better route planner isn't the only app that does this. I tried using ZapMap for this demo, but whilst that offers the feature, it didn't seem to work for me. It couldn't find any Tesla superchargers on this route for whatever reason. Hopefully that's a bug that will get sorted soon, because it will be useful if that helped too. The Octopus Electroverse app also offers route planning, but there doesn't seem to be a way to set your preferred charging networks, unless that's operator error on my part. However, I know they are working on filtering chargers by price, so maybe that will help when it comes. PlugShare might be worth trying too. PlugShare requires you to create an account to unlock that ability, and I don't really want to do that, so I haven't tried their route planning thus far. Having said that, I think that might also be true of ZapMap, so maybe I'm not being entirely fair in that regard. I gave each app a bit of a go and thought that ZapMap looked a bit more useful to me, so I went with that. ZapMap is very UK-centric, whereas PlugShare is more international. So if you aren't in the UK or travel outside of it, then maybe PlugShare is a better option for you. So today I've walked you through the whole thought process of planning a trip in an EV, including choosing the most reasonably priced charging stops. However, you generally won't need to do it manually if you don't want to. A number of cars can offer planning which you might want to try. If that's not good enough, if it's not giving you the ability to specify your preferences, then you can use an app. A better route planner is very useful, and it's free, by the way. You don't even need to create an account. I haven't, although having one might make it even easier to use perhaps. SatMap offers this feature too, but it didn't seem to work, for me anyway, as it couldn't find any Tesla superchargers on my route, which was a bit unexpected. But there will be other apps too. On the occasions you need to plan a route, which hasn't been all that common for me, then give a couple a go and stick with those you like. Road trips in EVs might seem daunting before you've given one a go, but once you've got a couple under your belt, you'll find that they are pretty easy in reality. There are loads of chargers in most places, so sometimes you don't even need to plan ahead, but there is no harm in doing so if you prefer to have a bit of peace of mind. Thanks very much to the people who have shown their support for the channel by using the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description. That's much appreciated, and the link is there again for anyone else who would like to do so. Well, that's all I have to say this time around. Now over to you. I look forward to your questions and comments on this latest topic in the comments section. Tell me, is route planning a concern of yours, or perhaps was it before you had an EV? Have you got any tips you can share with potential EV newbies who might be watching this video? Let us have it in the comments section. Let me know if you're planning on going to the Harrogate show yourself, and keep an eye out for community posts on the channel during the event. This is not a venue I've been to before, so I don't yet know the layout, but maybe I'll let you know where I'll be once I've sussed it out, in case you'd like to come and say hello. If you've liked the video, then it is a big help to me if you click the thumbs up button, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber of the channel if you want to see more from me. Subscribing is free and helps ensure you know about any future videos I make. Thanks.